Hello, everybody. Dr. Yang here, and we are going to be going over kind of the first little bit of what we need to cover in this module in this presentation, and then we will dive a little bit deeper into research designs in the second half. So I know that this has been a little disjointed. I know some of the readings don't always make the most sense. So I just wanted to take a moment and refresh us all on how we got to this point. So we started this course with a review or an exploration, if you will, of how program evaluation is related to research. And we talked about, standard research, or that bench science, psychological testing sort of research is focused on the scientific method with a high emphasis on rigor and a positivist orientation. But in this particular experience, we are drilling down and trying to understand program evaluation with a really specific focus on this program evaluation framework that we're going to look at here in just a second. Because I want you to make the connection that program evaluation framework is really the equivalent of the scientific method in this different space, okay? And so we also talked about the different types of evaluations that we have when we talk about program evaluation. And so there are the needs assessment and the evaluability assessment, which are more formative. And then we have the implementation evaluation and the process evaluation, which are more evaluative. The implementation can be formative in that it's a pilot program, but the outcome is more evaluative. And so I've circled these here for you because these are likely the types of evaluations that we are going to find ourselves using in our project. So when we talk about our research questions, we're going to be looking at things like, do these activities in this program help us to carry out the mission? Are we successful in meeting the needs of our clients? Do we have enough information about this program to make decisions about sustainability? So certainly not everyone will fall into one of these two camps, but most people will. And these help us to understand the efficacy of a program overall and gain insight into, whether or not this sucker works at doing what it's supposed to do. So this is all review. This is stuff that we've done. This is information that helped us to make decisions in writing part one of our program evaluation. And I will be working feverishly to get those back to you so that you have that information ready to make revisions and incorporate into part two. So now what? Now what is left for us to do? We have learned about all of the basics of program evaluation. We have explored how it differs from traditional research and how it deviates from the scientific method. So now what the heck is it that we're supposed to do? Well, for this, we're going to revisit that program evaluation framework. Remember, this is the one from the CDC. The nuanced details of all of these are going to vary a little bit, but in essence, these are the steps that we take when we go through a program evaluation. So in part one of your paper, where we see that big blue check mark, you worked to describe your program. You worked on telling me what your program was, their mission, their goals, what the program hopes to accomplish, as well as the social need for why the program exists, and a logic model outlining the inputs, activities, outputs, and outcomes for your program. Now, not everybody will have outputs and outcomes. Some people will have one, some people will have all, and some people might even have outcomes that are broken up into short, middle, and long-term outcomes. And so I will be giving you all feedback on that as quickly as possible so that you can work on making revisions before you resubmit it. And now what we are working on is this part here, this focus evaluation design. And so I realize that this is a recording, but if it helps you to remember the steps that we went through in class, here's what I would like for you to do. I wanted you to get into your groups and go into the proposal that you turned in and just grab those evaluation questions at the end. I know that they have not been graded, but I wanted to put you into your group space and give you about 10 minutes or so to jot down the answers to these questions. So if you're watching this on a replay, you can pull this out, or if you want to go back and expand on the answers to the questions. I want you to think about, are you doing a formative or an evaluative evaluation, and why? Why is it that you think you're making those decisions? I want you to just jot down, what are you needing to measure to understand the evaluation question, and how do you think you might measure it? Now, you're not going to have the answers to these questions right now. You might have an idea, you might have a very educated idea, but you probably don't have the answer, and that's okay. Because you're going to use this information to sort of prepare you, to orient you to how it is we are going to read and engage with the next couple modules of material. So I want you to sort of reflect on what you came up with. If you're watching this on playback, I hope that you paused and are answering those questions before you move forward. But if you already have the answers to those 3 questions, I want you to keep it somewhere that all the members of your group can find it. And I want you to use this to guide how you read the next several chapters in the next couple modules. And I also want you to compare it to the requirements in part 2 of your paper. Because when we talk about surveys and questionnaires and survey research, when we talk about participant recruitment and reliability and validity and kind of all of these different things, this information is going to mean something different to all of the groups based on what it is they're trying to measure. So you're all going to get something different out of these readings. So I want you to keep this handy when you're reading, because I want you to drill down and focus in on how does this apply to your specific agency and the type of evaluation you're doing and the evaluation questions that you hope to answer. Now, this will probably change. What you wrote down in class or as you're watching this playback will probably not be what you submit when you turn in the first draft of part 2. But it will help give you an idea. It will give you an example to work with. It'll give you something to put your hands on, so to speak, as you are thinking about the different components of part 2 and how we are going to get down into the details of designing a program evaluation. So hopefully this was a nice recap for you, but certainly if you have any questions or concerns, do not hesitate to let me know. I'm always just an email away. Take care.